Okay, welcome to video number 2. Today I'm going to be showing you how to assemble your clothespin dolls. So the things that you need to have already done: paint your bodies, varnish your bodies, or use your clear acrylic to cover your bodies. I use a spray acrylic that dries really fast. You needed to have painted your heads and your eyes and let them dry, and then spray acrylic those also. Also, I wanted to give you a really quick tip that I forgot to give you the other day. When I paint my heads, I use one of these little peg, it kind of looks like a little peg person. You get it in the same section that you get all the clothespins and the dowel heads. And I take I rip off a piece of paper towel and I stick it on top of that, and then I stick the head down on it. And that's how I hold it when I paint it. That just gives me something to work with and keeps it from falling off, and so that just makes it a little more convenient, but I forgot to tell you that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to assemble our bodies. You need your clothespin legs and a head, and what you do is you just take your little head and you get your hot glue gun, and you're going to fill that full of hot glue, and then you stick it to your clothespin body. Make sure that your head and legs your legs are in front, because I've put them on before. The legs have been in on the sides. So just make sure you've got that at the right and proper angle. And you can do, if you want her head tilting, you can tilt her head. So far I've just done them straight up, but I think tilting's cute too. I've seen it done that way. Okay, so here's my little girl who's already assembled and put together, and this is actually the brown head that we painted on the last video. And what we're going to do next is we're going to put on her wooden arms. So what I have to do is I go ahead and with these little axle rods that I have, got these at Hobby Lobby too. What I do with those is I take and I clip off the side. So you're going to need some wood cutters or nice set of wire clippers. These are wire clippers, and it takes a little bit of effort to get this off, but so I'm going to clip that off at an angle. Can you see I've angled that there? Just so it kind of sits in better on an angle on her arms. And then I go right up next. Let me turn this around. So I go right up next to the head, and I'm going to hot glue that arm on. Okay, so I'm going to just put a nice dab of hot glue, and I'm going to put her arm at the angle that I want. It may take just a minute for it to set up, and then and make sure you keep an eye on the proportion of the body, because you want to make sure that you have the arms in the right spot proportioned with the body. Okay, let's do our next arm. Put a little dab of hot glue. And sometimes if you feel like your arm is not stable enough, you can go back in and reinforce it with some more hot glue. This one I didn't quite put as much as I did the last one, because the last one I think I put too much. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll put some more. But that's what her little arms will look like. These are out to the side. Next thing we want to do is, let me remove my pliers. We need to cut a hole in our dress. So what you would have traced your CD out, and you go about a ½ an inch. If you want it longer, then you're just going to need to go out to an inch out of what the CD size was, or find you something a little bit bigger to trace. I'm going to fold this in half, and now we're going to cut a hole. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide this up her legs and around right up under her arms. So I'm going to cut a little bit off the top. Try not to get your holes too big, because it can really be a pain to try to get it around it when you want to glue it on. You may have too big of a hole. So okay, so now she has her bottom of her dress on. So I'm going to show you how I do the tulle underneath it. I'm going to lay her down for a moment, and then I'm going to take just a piece of ribbon, and this is the 1/8 ribbon, just a little. You can get this at Walmart or Hobby Lobby. And then I cut the tulle out where if I fold it in half, it's a little bit longer than the dress. It's kind of hard to see the tulle because it's so light. But I'm going to take and I'm just going to crimp it in the center. And I'm going to just kind of hold it to my ribbon. And I'm going to crimp a bunch of these together. I think I did about 6 on the last one. So we're going to crimp these. And I'm crimping these side by side, not on top of each other. Because what I'm going to do is when I get them all crimped together, then I'm going to fold it over my ribbon. So right now it's kind of like back and forth like you would do if you were going to do a paper doll, side by side, not on top of each other. Now I'm just going to take and I'm going to fold it over my piece of ribbon that I have held next to it. And then I'll put it up to the doll's body. Now I've got that folded over my ribbon. Let me move these little girls out of the way. Okay. Okay. Then we're going to take this and we're going to put the folded over part around her waist under her dress. And I'm going to tie it in the back. Okay. Just a little bow, because what I'll do next is I'm going to come in with, push it up as close to the bottom of the dress as you can get. Okay. And then spread your tulle out, because it'll all be towards the front. Then you're just going to take and you're going to spread it to position it wherever you want it. Now it's going to be quite a bit longer than the dress, and that is not a problem, because what we're going to come in and do is with our scissors, we're just going to trim off whatever's hanging below the feet. Okay, so that's got that, and I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to come in with my scissors, and I'm just going to trim across it, and whatever is sticking out or not even or below the feet gets trimmed off. And then voila, there's her dress. So that, and it's hard to see the tulle as much when but it's really sticking out the bottom and looking cute and fluffy. Okay, so now we're ready for the next part, which will be to make the bodice of the dress. And to make the bodice is really simple. You're going to need your 5/16, and this is kind of like a braided ribbon. You can see that. What I do is I just start out with the sleeves. You come up over the shoulder. You're going to come up over the shoulder with the braided ribbon, and you're just going to hot glue it in place. So what I do is I push my dress up as high as I can get it. You want your skirt up as high as you can get it. And then I'm going to put some hot glue up over her shoulder and down her back a little bit. And then I'm going to add that braid in. Careful when you're dealing with the hot glue that you don't burn yourself. Okay, so I've got that first braid in place. So that's what the first one looks like. And then, same thing on the other shoulder. Come up over the shoulder with the hot glue down the front. And then we're going to put the second braid. Okay, and I angle it in and I V it over top of the first one that I put on. So I V'd this down to her neck. Can you see that? Put a teeny bit of hot glue on top of the V in front, and then center your trim on it. Do not burn yourself. Okay, and then same thing with the other arm. Just stick it up under the armpits, and then you're going to pull it back. Okay, and watch it, because on this you could see the hot glue has come out from the trim a little bit. I'm just going to let that dry because I don't want to squish it and make it white in there. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll pick that off after it dries. Okay, and on the back, I'm going to turn her over to the back, And then same thing on the back. I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm going to pull this in. Be very careful not to burn yourself. You'll have some loose ends on this. You're going to want to trim up. Your first end down doesn't matter as much, but your second end definitely does. You want to trim that up, and the first end down you can just kind of hide it with the second end down. The second end down is going to need to look neat, and so you just take your scissors and trim off. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use my scissors to push down. Okay, so there's a few little strings left. I'm going to trim off. Okay, and there's her dress now. She looks so pretty. Okay, and then I always like to do, hang on, let me clean this off. I always like to, and here's our little stands. These are great. You just stick the clothespin down in it, and they can stand. And I'm just going to clean my little area off because I've got a lot of fuzzies from the tool. Hang on. Okay. Now we've got her done this far. The next thing we want to do is we want to do any embellishments that we want. So on this one we did I just bought some little crocheted lace, and the crocheted lace has a little heart in it, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to use the heart to put on our little dress. So we'll just, right here in the center, put a little dab of glue, and then I'm going to come in and put my little crocheted heart on top of that. So she's all pretty and fancy for a Christmas tree. Okay, so now she's got her heart. And then I also go in and do a little hair bow. I love doing the little headbands. So for that I use the 1/8 ribbon again. I'm going to take the 1/8 ribbon and just tie a bow around her hair. We're going to take it up and just tie it around her cute little head like you would your child's. Okay. Okay, and then once we get our ribbon on, we are going to put the little heart on. Okay, and that's big. I'm going to pull it down. Just pull your little legs down of the ribbon and make it smaller. Okay, and then you can go back and you can trim off the excess. So definitely easier to use a longer ribbon and trim off excess than it is to use a shorter ribbon and try to tie that thing. Okay, then on top of this one, we're going to put a little heart to match the dress. So we're going to go with a little hot glue, and actually I'm going to hot glue her bow on. So let's put a little hot glue on her head, and then we're just going to pull our little ribbon back and let that be glued on to keep it from sliding off. Okay, so you better have it in the position you want it in if you're going to do that. Okay. Then we're going to put our little heart on. I just put a dab of hot glue on there. And then we're just going to put the heart on top and push down a little bit. Okay. And now we have her in her dress. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give her, let me show you these two. The other little girl, I put a candy cane on. I also found these little cookie cutters that are really cute. They have little Christmas trees and stars and gingerbread men. So these are also something that you could put on them where they've got a little cookie cutter like they're about to make their cookies. But on this one we're going to do the candy cane because it matches her dress so well. So I got these they're little miniature candy canes for Christmas trees. And then I just take my pliers again and I'm going to cut the top of it off. And then I'm going to hot glue that onto her little hand. Let's put a little bit of glue on the back of our, I'll tell you what, we're going to put the glue on the hand. A little glue, and I put it right up above the little knob of the wooden peg. And then we're going to just drop the little candy cane on there and let it dry. And then she is done. She's ready for the Christmas tree. The only last thing that I would add in is her little hook. You can buy these little hook and eyes at in the wood section of Hobby Lobby, and you just screw the little hook into the top of her head and string your ribbon on, and she is ready to go. Although it may be easier to do that before you assemble the body, just when the head is loose. Just go ahead and assemble that. And here's our little clothespin doll. Thanks for watching.